Okay, and here. Welcome, welcome. This is Orphise Rodriguez, and you are on episode 3 of Career Boost. This podcast. In this podcast, we usually talk about leadership, management, skills, and talent. These topics are making things easier for you in your career, in your professional life, and this is why we discuss them here. Today, I am so happy to welcome Dr. Rana Mustafa. She is a leadership coach, a positive intelligence coach, and a food scientist. We decided to talk today about diversity and inclusion. I truly believe it's a topic that deserves our attention, especially for leaders and managers. And this is why we will discuss them today. We divided the conversation into 2 parts. Part 1 will be about promoting diversity in the workplace, and part 2 will be about supporting marginalized people. So great. Thank you again, Dr. Anna, for being with us today. I have been following you for a little while now on social media, on LinkedIn, and you're also part of Inspired Women Lead. This is how we met, in fact. It's a program for women around the world who want to be empowered and to develop their leadership skills. Yes, it was a great find to meet you there, Dr. Rana. So how about you introduce yourself a little bit? Because I'm sure you have, I know you have an incredible story to share with our listeners today.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me. It's really a privilege to be with you. In fact, my journey started in France, where I had my master's and PhD in food science. And I went back to Syria to be a university professor for over 10 years, where I taught food science courses, know about business course, and mentored, coached, of course, taught hundreds of students every year. I loved my job, my connection with the students, the impact that I was created in their lives, until unfortunately the Syrian war, where I was unable to continue my path there. So I moved to Canada. And in Canada, I spent really years doing everything I can to get a job that is similar to what I had in Syria. I started like a researcher. For 3 years, I worked in food innovation. But I thought, always I felt that it's not the position that I want to do, because I was in a different position where I can do more, have more impact. And this is why I moved from academia to business development, where I'm working now as a business and innovation lead at the Global Institute for Food Security. And it gives me a lot of pleasure to do this role, because it has 2 parts of it. One of them is contributing to the research in food security. I'm always supporting researchers in advancing innovation in food security. At the same time, I'm helping reduce hunger in the world and creating larger impact. So that was my journey. However, on Mother's Day, 2 years ago, I learned that I have breast cancer. And my doctor said, you have very invasive, aggressive breast cancer. And the whole world collapsed in front of me because of different reasons. I am a single mom. I have my own kids with me. I don't have a family in Canada. At the same time, I'm a professional woman, and I spent my whole life fighting to get my education. So it hit me emotionally very hard. I was very worried about my career path, what to do while I'm doing my cancer treatment. It's long, it will be months until I go back to work. And there is a very simple principle in life. If you don't use it, you lose it. There are skills that you have, but if you put them on the shelves, you will lose them. So after a few months of reading and cancer treatment, I connected again to my purpose, my life purpose, what I want to do for the rest of my life. And I was always interested in coaching and professional coaching. And this is why I started my training to be a professional coach. Not only say, I did that, I can help you, I am a coach. No, I wanted to be a certified leadership coach. And I did training to be certified by the International Coaching Federation. And I also did positive intelligence training. All of that was during my cancer treatment. And I started coaching. And I came back, recently I came back to work. In fact, last August. Not only I was able to maintain my skills, I brought different skill sets to my job currently. And I have my side hustle, leadership and positive intelligence coaching that I love.
Wow. This is, I mean, really an example of how people can be resilient in their lives. You're the perfect example of that. You embody resilience, really. And from my understanding, you are well. It's very important to be certified leadership coach in today's world where, well, people, you can be coach, you can claim yourself to be a coach, but you don't really know what you're talking about, really. So you also decided, I think, to really share your knowledge and share your expertise specifically with other scientists. Is that correct?
Absolutely. So because of my background as a university professor, as in academia, in research, because I've done that for over 20 years, and coaching, mentorship, consulting was included. It was part of my job, right? But now as a coach, I feel I have both hats as a coach and as a scientist. I know their pain. I know their struggles more than anyone else. Because I've been there. I know every day's challenges. And this is why I wanted to share things and tips and stories and support their leadership journey. Because as scientists, to be honest, we have really different pressure than anyone else. We are required to innovate all the time. We are required to create all the time. We are in a very, very competitive job market. So it's more challenging when you get more education, and everyone knows that. If you have a PhD, it's different from if you have a master's degree, because people will see you as highly qualified. There will be more challenges in terms of finding a job or moving from the lab after graduating and finishing the PhD and moving to management position or business development position, or just a job where you are managing other people or working in a team with other people. Because when you do your PhD or master's, most of the time you are working on one project. It's your own project. You are managing your project. When you go to the job market, you are working in a team. So to move from that competitive mindset to that collaborative mindset, it requires a lot of training and energy and knowledge and understanding of that move. So yeah, I try to be as supportive as possible.
Right. So I think you, like you said, well, you have a PhD, so that already puts you in a category, and of course, well, I presume, you know, coming from Syria, moving to Canada, you had to fight your way in as well to find a position, to find your place really in the society in Canada. How I mean, do you have any do you have a message maybe to share for people who are maybe immigrating to a new country, people who, well, who don't necessarily fit in easily in a new culture because they are different, really. Um, with your background, with your experience, I'm sure you will probably have some example or some advice to share with people like that.
Absolutely. So I am from a minority in Syria.
Mm,
And when I came to Canada, I came with a work permit. I went right away to work. I don't have any family members in Canada. I came to a city in Canada, Saskatchewan, with my two kids. I knew no one here,
mm,
no one in the city,
mm,
absolutely zero in my banking account and
mm,
in my relationship banking account, if you want to say. I in my network, nothing. I came to a world which is totally strange to me.
mhm,
And because I am from a minority in Syria, there was no one from my community
mhm,
in this city.
mhm,
So it was really challenging to make connection, to meet people.
right,
And because I came from a war zone,
mm,
when people meet with me at the university, because I started working at the university, when they ask me, where are you from? And I say, I am from Syria. So right away, they ask me questions about the war and why we are fighting each other, blah, blah, blah. So it was reminder for me
right,
all every day about the war. And because of the weather in Canada, because I came in February, the snow is outside, the temperature is minus 25 to minus 40 at that time. You cannot walk around. How can you meet people?
mm. Yeah, well, yeah,
Right?
it's very cold,
It's
and
it's
I
so
think
hard. So
you,
what I did, and this is something that I am working on now and trying to support people with,
mm,
personal branding.
mm,
This is one of my main programs now or services as a coach,
mm,
personal branding. Why? Because before coming from Syria, I had my LinkedIn profile. I had my ResearchGate, which is a platform for researchers. I had my Google Scholar account as well. So on all these platforms, I have a full profile showing my expertise, credential, my network, which was connected to France, my work that I have done before the war. I had the connection in Canada. I have connection on my network. I collaborated with some researchers. It was all academic network, but that gave me a lot of credibility.
mm,
So when I came, one of the questions, I was trying to get a job offer, and it was a challenge because at the time, for all Syrians, like no one wants more Syrians refugees in the world. So to accept a Syrian person in the lab, I received a lot of rejection.
mm,
The professor who accepted me was late in replying to me. So wrote to her an email saying, you know what, I am very motivated. I am very hard worker woman, blah, blah, blah. And she replied to me, she said, Rana, I know that. I'm just waiting for some paperwork. And she wrote, I saw through your LinkedIn profile, ResearchGate, blah, blah, blah. I knew that you are always active and trying to improve. And this is what mattered. So she knew it before I come to Canada. I had my brand already built. And that is what helped me so much when I came here. Came as I mentioned, I'm a stranger here. No one know me, but I was very patient to just approach people. I try to ask questions. Like in France, when we are working in the same lab, everyone says hi, hello to everyone. We get together for our coffee break. Why are you guys not doing the same? They said, it's our culture. It's different culture. So what I did, I started understanding the specificity about the culture. And this is what I talk about when we meet with people, and when we talk about diversity, inclusivity, feeling belong to the any place, start by cultural intelligence. Try to be aware of your surrounding,
Right.
of people, what they like, how they like to be greeted, what they like to, how they like to be talked to, etc. And this is how it helped me build my steps towards my building my network. Outside of academia, I tried to volunteer, I tried to go to events, I tried to show my culture in a different way. So my son and I started volunteering with local multicultural organizations in showcase Syrian music. So my son plays the oud, which is a very special Syrian instrument. I was joining him by singing. And that was when I started feeling I belonged to this community, and they welcomed me. So that inclusivity started showing up in my life.
So that's the it's a I love, you know, through storytelling you can really tell how people are making the effort really to fit in, and also there are a lot of things that you mentioned today in the also about personal branding. I think so really building that brand also on LinkedIn, it's very important, right? I mean, even when you come from academia, so your personal branding, you really built it mostly through LinkedIn, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So LinkedIn and ResearchGate. Why? Because as a scientist, we publish scientific papers. They are in different journals. So on ResearchGate, you put the link to that article.
Yes.
On LinkedIn, you do the same. So you have two sources to verify your credibility, your honesty. So when anyone comes to those platforms, and especially LinkedIn now for business, ResearchGate is more for research.
Yeah.
So people look at that, they don't question, who are you?
Yeah.
They see your photo, they see the university where you graduated, they see your publications, you have every check marks,
right?
Yeah. To be who you are. And and what I also do about personal branding is posting, sharing my knowledge people, so people know more about me. I have more people in my network. So as I mentioned, I came with zero in my, I know no one in the city now. And after, even before COVID, in 4 years, I was connected to most people in my field in the city.
Yeah.
Not only normal people, most influential people, because I was volunteering with so many organizations. I was attending so many networking events. So everyone sees me every time. Who's this person? And now we are friends. When like I'm friend with so many people when we meet in networking events. Like, oh, Rana, how are you doing? Oh, glad to see you here. So all these pieces come together.
Yes, I agree.
Build my life as the way that it is now.
Yes, I think whether you're traveling or whether you're in your own country, I think networking, staying out of your comfort zone, I mean, through meeting people, volunteering, staying active, being dynamic really is the way to go, I think. Especially when you want to develop your career, you want to fit in, and yeah, so today we are talking really about diversity and inclusion, but so moving again in this direction, what do you advise maybe for leaders, managers, who are really trying to implement some a good culture with, you know, it's not just about, well, diversity is trying to pick people who are different in your team just to say, okay, we're diversified. You have to be able to implement the inclusion as well, the second part, because diversity without a strong system in place can really bring chaos in a team. Don't you think?
Absolutely. I
Yes. So
100% agree with you.
yes. So what are, in your opinion, I'm sure you have in your experience some examples to share on how to maybe implement this in an effective way, uh, not just in a unrealistic way, really, because yeah, trying to fill out numbers or quotas, or this is not necessarily the answer, I think.
You pointed out to a very important point, which is some people, they want to feel to check those marks, ADI, so they hire people from different background or like minorities, etc. What happened if it's like you invite people to your birthday party?
Mhm.
So you invited the 20 people and you started dancing.
Mhm.
You did not address 15 people of that group. You have your own close friends, 5 people, and you are dancing all the time, sharing the food. And those 15 people who you try to include in your party because they look good in your background, they are still sitting there. So
Mhm.
what happens? It's exactly the opposite effect.
Exactly.
Those people will feel so excluded, discriminated. They will feel so bad about themselves. So why did you invite me to this party if you don't want me to participate? And this is exactly, I heard this example before and I loved it. The difference between diversity and inclusivity. Diversity, you invite people to be in the team. It's like inviting them to be in the party, but inclusivity is inviting them to dance with you,
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
right? So when I am in a team and we are talking in a meeting, and my manager never look at me and say, what do you think?
Mm.
I will feel excluded, right? So I think for managers and leaders, I know that most places nowadays have policies and regulations and government regulations about these ADI, rules and stuff. So people are following the rules. The problem that I see now is with inclusivity and belonging,
Yes, yes,
and
yes.
we need to work on it. And from my experience, I feel and I think that the first step is cultural intelligence.
Mm.
Just understand the background of those people, their habits,
Mm.
their if they don't like to shake hands, just know why. If they like to wear clothes differently, just know why,
Mm.
right? Understand a little bit their background. Be aware of what they came from,
Mm.
and give them this opportunity to learn about the new culture.
Mm.
This
Yes.
is the first step. And then the next step, which is very hard, is being courageous.
Mm.
Being courageous. Come look at me in the eye in the morning and say, hey, how are you doing today?
Mm.
Hear the different point of view in a meeting. Know that you will hear different point of view, and this different point of view, maybe it will not be the one that you like, but be courageous enough to learn it. So I feel that being courageous plays a huge role in enforcing inclusivity.
Mm.
And there are so many team building exercises that we can do without investing in money and in training. I can give you an example. In my organization at the Global Institute for Food Security, we created social committee.
Mm.
Social committee is to bring people together on monthly basis for different events. For example, birthday celebration. We just meet during lunchtime. We share, okay, who we know who were celebrating their birthday, and then we talk with them. We just have certain moments. One time at our birthday celebration, I talked to the team. I said, do you know how many languages do you have on this team? And everyone was like, okay, looking at each other. I said, okay, let's sing happy birthday, and let's do it, everyone in their own language. People at the end of this event felt so good. Like, oh, I shared my language. I talked to you in my language. You made me feel special. I heard all of those feedback. So these kind of things build the team and increase the sense of inclusivity and belonging in any team.
Thank you for these examples. It's good to have practical tools, techniques, I would say, also to share a culture, to share a seat at the table, you know. I think there are so many ways, like you said, to work on team building, and in fact, I've really been interested in this tool called Choose Happiness at Work, that I'm happy to share with you another time. But it's a gamification technique as well, to open up, you know, conversations in team environment, and discuss actually also work situations, because when you work with people, you actually, it's really how you make this collaboration work better, and how we understand each other's point of view, not just the culture, the language, but also the characters. There's so many ways, the work style, we're so different in that way. So when we talk about diversity and inclusion, we talked about nationality, we talk about background, we talk about languages, mm, you know, also personality styles, and so many different things. Really, when we talk about that, we are drawing to the end of this first part. We have maybe 3 minutes, so we don't want to make this long, but maybe the last point for you, Rana. What do you see? Let's see if you can try to do that in 2 minutes. But what do you see as the common challenges, really, for organizations to create a diverse workplace? From your experience, how do you think leaders can overcome those challenges?
Yeah, first of all, being committed to the concept. Secondly, being courageous enough to start doing it. Thirdly, I think it's education for both parties, the people and leaders. So leaders need to learn how to what's diversity. It's not only about, as you mentioned, culture, background, faith, whatever. It's also personality types. I might be someone who is a hyperachiever, and there might be, or introverted, and my colleague is extroverted. So we need to know how to work with each other in a team, to work in collaboration mode instead of just isolation, and everyone is working from their own side. So education, I think, or awareness,
Yes.
for everyone is very important.
Yes.
Of course, you know, policy and regulations play huge roles to initiate the thoughts. But we need, as I mentioned, we need to be open we have that growth mindset, learner mindset, versus judger mindset, in order to understand the skills of the team, the skills of people who we hire, so we use them differently, so everyone feels inclusive and feel belong to the team.
Yes, I agree. Thank you so much, Rana. We're drawing to the close of this first part. this discussion about diversity and inclusion. Stay with us, stay tuned. We're coming back for part 2. Thank you.